Many of us are now moving to a work from home workforce, now actually becoming a permanent work from home workforce. Though we still have some people coming into our remote offices, our corporate offices, though the number of those people are going to be limited. We'll probably see some kind of a hybrid home slash workforce where maybe you come into the office a day or two a week, but predominantly you're going to be working from a home office. So 2020 has definitely been the year that has kind of changed how we're going to work. And we at Collaboration Systems Group have had great success with WAN optimization for the home-based workforce because, as most of us know, or most of us who have tried working from home before, the speed at which we can access our files and our applications over VPN connections is terrible. It's not at all like sitting in the office. So our solution involves WAN acceleration for the home-based workforce to give them the speed that is comparable to working from the data center, the corporate office. And this presentation, I'm just going to walk you through how we do that. So our WAN optimization solution comes to us from Riverbed, and there are several pieces to this. If you have your data center still on-prem, we can utilize a physical or a virtual steelhead at your corporate office. If you've moved that data center up to the cloud, we have a cloud steelhead for acceleration to the cloud. Your home-based workforce will use the Steelhead Client Accelerator. We call this acceleration for one. And also, if you're using Office 365 and SharePoint to distribute files, we have a SaaS accelerator, which can also accelerate traffic from the Office 365 environment. So let's talk about why WAN is slow. Wide area networking, you're working from a home office, you click on a file and hit open, and you just sit there and wait for it to open. Why is that? Because as we know, when surfing the internet, the bigger the pipe you have, the faster it is. Wide area networking doesn't work like that. In wide area networking, if we store our files at our data center and we're a remote work from home user, or we're even in a branch office, trying to access those files, as I stated, is kind of like watching this red dot move across the screen. It is a very painfully slow process. The larger the files, the longer this takes. So we want to address this network latency with WAN acceleration. So graphically, as I just described, if you're sitting here in your home office and you connect to your VPN, you go to your server, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud, and you hit File Open, that file gets broken down into individual packets of 64K, and they're sent one at a time across that connection. The server can't send the next packet until the client acknowledges that it received the first packet. Go ahead, server, send me the second. This process of acknowledgements back and forth between the client and the server is what makes this so slow. The further the distance, the longer this process takes. So what we're trying to do with the steelheads when we implement these, there has to be a WAN acceleration device on both ends of this connection. It can be physical, virtual, cloud, client accelerator. As long as there's steelheads on both ends of the connection, we'll get that optimization. We're really doing three things to your data. We're increasing that packet size from 64K up to a full 1 meg. So we're reducing the number of round trips required to send that file over to the home-based user. The big thing that we do is this process called scalable data referencing, or deduplication. So we're looking at the binary data that makes up your files, and we're marking it with a small pointer so that when we see that data again, we don't have to send the data. We simply send the pointer that represents that data. A good example of this would be your company logo. Your company logo is on probably every document that is produced. Once we see that company logo once, we'll store the pointer that represents that logo on both sides of the connection, and we'll never send that pointer again. So what happens is the data that goes across that slow connection after we've seen it once, now it gets very skinny because we're just sending pointers that represent our data, recreating the data on the high-speed LAN section, and delivering it to the home-based user. Typical CIFS traffic, this is your office files, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. We're going to see 85 to 95% reduction in the amount of data that has to go over this slow connection, the WAN, in order to recreate those pointers and deliver the files to the home-based user. Third thing we do is transaction prediction. Instead of waiting for the server and client to speak to each other, we're going to step in the middle, and the steelheads are going to talk to each other and get that information over much faster than waiting for the client and the server acknowledgements to go back and forth. So here's what our work from anywhere, work from home solution looks like. You'll have your data center. I'm representing a physical steelhead for an on-prem data center. If you've moved your data center to the cloud, this would be replaced with a cloud steelhead. You get the same kind of acceleration. Our work from home users will have a software client on their tablets or laptops, and they take that wherever they go. So if they are working in a remote office a day or two a week, the acceleration can work from the remote office as well. If they go into the corporate office, because they're in the corporate office, they won't take a license for the acceleration because they don't need it. They're at LAN speed at that point. But while they're home or they're in a remote office, when they connect over the VPN, this will grab a license and will provide acceleration from the corporate office where the files are stored. They take this wherever they go. It starts automatically, it connects automatically. Once you connect to the VPN, the users don't have to do anything different. So let me show you a demo. I'm using the client accelerator. My server is about 90 miles away. I do have a Steelhead appliance at the data center. So on the other end of this connection is a Steelhead appliance. And here is the bandwidth that I have, 28 down, 6 up. I'm going to open two different files for you. One will be a CAD file. This is an AutoCAD file. And I'm going to go up to my iDrive, I for internet. And I'm going to grab this file here. Let me show you the properties. This is a 10 meg AutoCAD file. I'm going to go ahead and open it. Now I'm pulling this across the VPN. This is a file that I've opened before. Even though we're not file-based in CAD, there's a lot of repetitive items that we use. So we get our data store fills up very fast when we're working with CAD files because there's so many similar elements there. But let me close this now. You saw the speed at which that opened. Let me now open it again, but from my C drive. So not even from a local server, but rather directly from my C drive. So as you can see, there's very, very little difference, not noticeable difference between opening it locally versus opening it across a VPN using the acceleration. Let me close this. Now I don't need to save it. And let's go in and open up a Word document now. And we'll do it the same way. I'll first open it from my iDrive. And we'll take a look at the properties of this. This Word document is 34.3 meg. Big Word file. So let's go ahead and open that over the VPN connection. And that file is now here. You can see this is a big licensing agreement. So let's go ahead and close that. Now let's open that same file. But this time again, we'll open it from the C drive. And again, you'll see very little difference in the speed opening it locally versus over the VPN. So this is an example of how our solution works, the speed that you'll get. We do offer a proof of concept. So if you'd like to see this function on your own network with your own users, we can make that happen for you. This is a very simple configuration to install. Generally, we can be up and running in about 30 minutes. And then you start pushing out clients for your remote users, and acceleration begins immediately. So we understand the problem. Here is our solution. My contact information is there on the screen. Let's resolve your problem using WAN Acceleration. I appreciate you taking the time to review my presentation, and I hope to hear from you soon.